Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weight loss roadmap case study. I'm Liev Sosa, as you know, and today we're going to go through the whole journey of a client that I helped and that we got some really amazing and positive outcome. So, this is a 45-year-old male who presented to us with a few months' history of weight gain, alternating diarrhea and constipation, along with abdominal pain, stuffy nose, and trouble sleeping, mostly due to also the stuffy nose. So, as background information, we know that this man is a real estate agent, father of three children, married, type 2 diabetes, some high blood pressure. He is on two medications and he has experienced progressive weight gain since the pandemic started. And he has also been having some back and knee pain. So, the main highlight of the story is that he went to his mom's with his family and they had a great dinner with, it was copious, meaning that there was a lot of eating and there was a large uh, plate of pasta, lots of cheese and red meat, tomato sauce, etc. So it was actually delicious. It was a beautiful night. Everybody was pretty much okay. And, a couple of hours later, just him alone starts having diarrhea, abdominal pain, and vomiting. So this actually did not really get better through the night. And him and his wife ended up in the ER. And he actually required intravenous hydration because he had been having a lot of vomiting and diarrhea. So that episode kind of passed after 3 days or so, and the symptoms improved, but they did not really disappear. So he still had ongoing constipation, he had still some diarrhea, some belly pain on and off, and like the stuffy nose was still very present, interfering with his sleep. So of course, after this episode, he did get like symptomatic treatment. So he got antidiarrheic medications. He had anti-vomiting medication. He had pretty much that as well with IV fluids. His blood work was pretty much within normal limits, other than a little bit of dehydration. So he did not have required or criteria to go through antibiotics. So he was not on antibiotics. He was mostly on symptoms treatment. His family doctor saw him and sent it to the gastroenterologist, the specialist, and he basically didn't really find anything. An abdominal ultrasound was done, and all of this, um, you know, different steps that he took, that he followed according to the system, led to inconclusive investigations. He felt disappointed what to do and where to go, and he was referred by someone who knew us, and we agreed to get him started on the weight loss roadmap. So the weight loss roadmap is our signature program that is structured. It has 5 phases. The phase 1 is preparation, the phase 2 is elimination, phase 3 is reintroduction, phase 4 is transition and exercise, and phase 5 is healthy lifestyle for life. And this is a 16 weeks program, and each of these phases have their place for our clients to be successful in their journey. So what we did with our client is that we got him started on eating a whole foods diet and also eliminate all the pro-inflammatory diets. We got on a schedule to increase successfully water intake, which is very important for the detoxification and regulation of all, his blood pressure, etc. We negotiated together. So we actually agreed that in order for us to really be well, we have to have a regularity in terms of cycles. And we agreed to have a morning routine that actually got him energized through the day, and a night routine that helped him wind down and have optimal sleep at night. Also, we were really very focused on having and nurturing a positive mindset. This is very, very important because when we go on a journey like this, we are going to find obstacles. We're going to find that sometimes things don't work the way they are supposed. And we are here in order to troubleshoot why that is happening and how to make it better. So at the right stage of the program, he integrated joyful movement, and he basically was able to love himself back to health, which is amazing. That actually is our major goal. So on the weight loss roadmap, we do have restrictions in terms of diet because we know that these types of foods are the ones that bring on the excess calories. And it's not just a problem of calories in and calories out, but these foods are really very taxing and demanding on our insulin system. And that's what breaks down when we actually develop, overweight and type 2 diabetes. So all of these foods are out of the, basically on the first week of the program, we're going to work to get all of these foods out of the household. So no bad foods for the children, no other things that, like we don't want to have any temptations around us, because sometimes we just keep certain things and the temptation remains present, right? So moving on, he said yes to whole foods. He said yes to multicolor vegetables, eat the rainbow. So we said yes to continue drinking a lot of water, and we reviewed the source of proteins that he was taking. And it's very important to have clean sources like free-run chickens, grass-fed beef, etc. So as we said, as time went on, things actually slowly got better. And, his wife was very supportive and involved. And this is very, very important for our health outcomes. It's like what are the chances of us being successful in our journey is very determined by our environment. And our family, our spouse, and the people around us and our friends are actually a very, very large influence on us. And if we don't have, control over our environment, then it's much easier to fall onto temptations and really fail to what we are trying to achieve. So after all of this, we actually, once we got him better, we actually got the results of his GI map report. So basically, on top of the weight loss roadmap that it comes with this program, he signed up for the gastrointestinal rehabilitation program, which includes a DNA stool analysis. And you're going to see over the next few slides what are the findings that we actually, found on this report. So, as you know, this person is affected by gastrointestinal problems, so vomiting, diarrhea, and alternation with constipation. So we really think that, there's evidence here that the enterohemorrhagic E. coli, which is a pathogenic bacteria, that means that this is a bacteria that causes problems most of the time. So we have E. coli's that are actually good, but we have certain E. coli's that are not so good. All right. So this one, we actually have evidence that it's high. So we believe that this was part of the reason why he had all of these symptoms. So we know from our medical practice that giving antibiotics to this type of bacteria is not a good idea and can lead to very large complications. So we having these results allowed us to avoid that option and support the gastrointestinal tract and its overall health in other ways. That is not antibiotics. So the second sheet of our report talks about H. pylori and also the normal bacterial flora, as well as the index of the phyla microbiota. So H. pylori is the most frequent bacteria that grows in the stomach, and it is related to gastritis and also gastric cancer. So we do a very thorough search of that bacteria, and all of these are called virulence factors. They are DNA mutations in that H. pylori, and that actually increases the risk for really like bad outcomes like cancer and chronic gastritis, atrophic gastritis, among others. So from the point of view of the normal bacteria, we actually have a couple of imbalances. The lactobacillus species are high. There's Clostridia who are low, and the Enterobacter species are also high. So this may happen when we have impaired gastric capacity, meaning that our digestion is not happening properly, and there are certain bugs that are overgrowing, most likely because the gastric acid power is not enough. That's one of the most frequent ones. And then when we go to the phyla microbiota, so basically what you see here is the Bacteroidetes and the Firmicutes. These are the two types of bacteria. The Bacteroidetes are gram-negative, and the Firmicutes are gram-positive. And gram is like how it looks under the microscope. So what we want to look at here is that the Firmicutes are a type of bacteria that absorbs more energy from the foods. And that means that that person is using more energy, and then it's actually requiring more energy, so it makes you hungry, and it also activates your your need to seek for food. So when these bacteria, the index is inverted, because we need more of the Bacteroidetes. The Bacteroidetes should be double of the Firmicutes. And if that index is disturbed, that could be a very possible reason why someone is unable to lose weight, or why their weight, they lost and then they got stalled. So here the index is normal, but when you see here on the relative, so we see that it's not double, but the Bacteroidetes are a little bit low, and it's important for them to be at a high level. So we actually are going to review what are the different practices that could be toxic for our gut bacteria, for the good bacteria, like eating non-organic foods with high amounts of pesticides is one of them. Eating water that has high levels of chlorine and fluoride is also not good for this. Eating foods that have artificial colorants and preservatives are also not good for our gut bacteria. So we won't go too deep into the analysis of this, but you can see how detailed we can be about who lives in the gut and what are they doing. So the next page is about opportunistic bacteria and also potential autoimmune triggers. So opportunistic bacteria are, as you can see, these guys are really coming more from the hospital. They're not very friendly, and as long as they are at an appropriate level, and what that means is that all of these microorganisms, like 85% of them, should be beneficial, and up to 15% of them can be pathogenic or bad bugs. But our immune system, along with the good bacteria, they outgrow them because they live, because we have an environment that is favorable for the good bacteria to grow, as opposed to an environment for bad bacteria to grow. And very easy example of that is actually having a high carb diet, like refined carbs, like all that, the bread and the cereal and the croissant, all of this stuff is baked with yeast. So it's also baked with sugar. So what happens is that we are feeding actually like yeast and bacteria that feeds on sugar, and they are not friendly. So that's actually how we understand the whole situation. So here you can see that we have the bacillus is a little bit high, as well as the streptococcus. And this is also due to low stomach acid most of the times. So when we support the stomach, then the proper acidity and antibacterial effects take place in the small intestine. And if that doesn't happen, then something else happens. It's actually overgrowth of bad bugs that disturbs our small intestine's digestion. And that is the root cause of bloating and slow digestion and feeling blah. So it's actually low of powerful and effective digestion or digestive juices. So we we basically do a very general support gut plan, and we did not aim for to kill the E. coli directly, because that can actually bring some problems. So that's really how we try to bring it all together in a low risk manner. It doesn't have to be harsh or painful or anything like that. So, potential autoimmune triggers. I don't know if you knew that according to what type of bacteria grows in the small intestines, like on the long term, you can have an actual disease model that comes with that bacteria. For example, the Citrobacter frundi is actually very bad for different types of arthritis. Klebsiella as well, and you have Prevotella, Proteus. So all of these guys can cause rheumatoid arthritis or all kinds of different problems. For example, Streptococcus species are very high for psoriasis as well. So according to what disease or what bacteria we have as potential autoimmune trigger, we could develop that kind of problem. So here there's no bacteria that is above the limit, but I we have to say that it's important to watch and see where that is going, because if they overgrow on the long term, then we have the risk of developing that type of autoimmune disease. So moving on to fungi and viruses and parasites. And as we can see here, this is something extremely common, which is the overgrowth of Candida species and Candida albicans. And this is really something that may cause like fatigue and weight gain and brain fog, and all along with all of those gastrointestinal problems from the bacteria. So we also have a fungus. So we have a few bacteria that are overgrown. We have a pathogenic one. We have a couple of the commensal bacteria that are high. We have a few that are also low. And then we have yeast overgrowth, which is also a very, very important risk factor to develop autoimmunity. So as you can see, this is something that we will take care of once we are out of the acute problems. So once we're sleeping, once the pain is better, then we're going to take care and try to balance and put him on a yeast or an anti-candida plan. But that would be like a second step. So on viruses, we actually don't have any, and parasites and worms were also negative. So intestinal health is actually a few markers that we take a look at. So the steatocrit is the amount of undigested fat in the stools, and that is a direct reflection of how you are digesting the foods or the fats that you are eating. If you have fats in there, maybe a high fat diet is not for you, because you are not really absorbing the rest. And the fats can also get oxidized and cause inflammation when there's too many of them. And that also gives us an idea of how the pancreas is working. So also how the pancreas is working is our elastase 1. Elastase is a digestive enzymes that is actually to break down protein. And like this is low. So that means that this person needs absolutely digestive support, digestive enzyme support. And what activates digestive enzymes is gastric acid. So you always get your betaine ACL or some kind of gastric acid support in our plants. So for the elastase, above 500 is normal. Between 200 and 500 is kind of intermediate, and less than 200 is definite insufficiency of the pancreas. All right. So next thing we're gonna check is the beta-glucuronidase, and this one is very related to how the gut is detoxifying, how it's moving out. So, and also the metabolism of estrogens and pesticides happens through this enzyme. So we're going to get alarmed only if this enzyme is very high, and in this case it is not, which is good news. So we didn't have any occult blood in the stools. And then immune response, we have here the secretory IgA, and this is an antibody that is in the surface of the lumen of the gut and is actually insufficient. So that's why there is yeast, there is E. coli, and there is other bad bugs. And apparently, the most common reason why the secretory IgA is low is because of the candida. Candida produces an enzyme that breaks down this one. Our own defense system, it actually cancels it. And then we continue producing until we are just, unable. So second one is the anti-gliadin. And gliadin is the gluten protein, right? So we can have this at to a maximum of 150, 57, and this one is 108. So this person is eating grains, and apparently, it's not above, but I will take a look and see how this evolves. And also, according to, if somebody's having problems with constipation and the gut is not good, we get them off grains is one of the best things to do. And then the last marker here for intestinal health is the calprotectin, and that is a sign of inflammatory bowel disease, either ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, and we don't have any of that because this can be up to less than 173 and it's only 4. There's no blood. So what we have here is a problem of more microbial imbalance and digestive insufficiency. Those are the two major things that we found here, and we actually follow the plan in order to correct these issues. So with this plan, his gut issues improved as soon as 1 to 2 weeks. His sleep improved as his nose cleared and his gut got better. So we use a natural antimicrobial that is wide spectrum that is called berberine. This is an Ayurvedic herb that improves insulin sensitivity, that is an antioxidant. It helps with weight loss, and it helps with viruses and bacteria and parasites. So it's awesome. We also use a toxin binder in order to facilitate the elimination of toxins out of his body. We use magnesium bisglycinate to help with bowel regularity, with sleep, with detoxification, and all the different amazing benefits of magnesium. We also supported him with digestive enzymes because we saw that his digestive capacity was low. We also offered a gut healing formula in order to give multiple nutrients to help that gut heal. Then vitamin D is extremely, extremely important for all immune support. Our omega-3s were given in order to reverse the inflammation, and we like to cover our clients with the multivitamin because when we give a nutrient, we actually activate networks, and that uses other nutrients, and that's why we use a multivitamin in the background to cover for advanced nutrition. So as you can see, the plan is very holistic. It actually includes the whole body, and everything starts in the gut. So by 6 weeks, everything was awesome. Regular bowel movements, lost a total of 28 pounds over 6 weeks. He felt much better, healthier body composition, energized, confident. His relationship with his wife reached another level. And that was something very, very important because she supported him through the journey. And, you know, she even herself got better. They went back to dancing classes together. His mood, brain focus, and overall confidence were awesome. And then, when we look at the long term, he decreased his risk of heart disease, of diabetes, and high blood pressure. And also, he gets to avoid the need to be at the doctors over and over and over again with large recurrent health expenses later in life and not knowing why. So that is so valuable. That's what we do. And this is why we wake up every morning eager to help our clients. So he also found the support of a community that actually helped him out and shared stories and gave him motivation when it was needed. And he was able to influence his children and show that our bodies can heal with a good example, right? So the legacy is that they are living a charged and energized life, and that is our goal with you. The question is, are you ready now? And if you are not, then we still have other resources and other things that you can do until your time is ready for you to step into the new you, step into your greatness, step into the best version of you. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you around or on the next episode. Okay, bye.